Why have you been learning English for so long, and yet you still can't understand it or speak it? Maybe what you're missing isn't vocabulary, but a story you can truly understand. Today, we'll use simple English to help you understand the story of Frozen. Far in the north, there was a small kingdom surrounded by the sea called Arendelle. The palace was large, with long hallways and tall windows, and in this palace once lived two carefree little girls, Elsa and Anna. They were sisters and also each other's best friends. At night, when everyone else was asleep, the palace became quiet and mysterious. The two girls would sneak out of their rooms and play in the empty halls. Elsa would raise her hand and sparkling snowflakes would appear in the air. The floor would instantly turn into smooth ice. Anna laughed happily, sliding across it, never minding when she fell. They built snowmen and slid down icy slopes. In their little world, there were no rules and no fear. Those were their happiest days. But some things change when you least expect them to. One night, they were playing as usual. Anna jumped around excitedly, asking Elsa to make even bigger magic. Elsa was a little nervous, but she smiled and raised her hand. The snow and ice spun faster and faster in the air. Then, suddenly, in one uncontrolled moment, the magic struck Anna in the head. She fell to the ground and didn't move. Time seemed to stop. For the first time, real fear appeared on Elsa's face. The king and queen rushed in and took Anna deep into the forest to seek ancient, mysterious help. Luckily, Anna was saved, but all her memories of magic were erased. When she woke up, she remembered nothing. She was just a little sleepy, a little confused, and she smiled and called for her sister. But Elsa was no longer the same. She was told that her power was dangerous. She had to hide it, control it, and never let anyone know. She began wearing gloves, wrapping her hands tightly, as if her power were not a gift, but a secret that had to be locked away. From that day on, the castle gates were closed, and her bedroom door was shut tight as well. Anna was still warm and cheerful. She didn't know what had happened. She only knew her sister no longer played with her. She stood outside the door again and again, knocking softly and asking, "Do you want to build a snowman?" There was no answer. Sometimes she leaned against the door and talked quietly, sharing little things from her day. She thought Elsa was just busy, or tired, or didn't feel like talking. She didn't know that on the other side, Elsa was leaning against the wall, holding her hands tightly, even afraid to breathe too loudly. It wasn't that Elsa didn't want to open the door. She was afraid of hurting her again. Later, one day, a storm rose at sea. The king and queen sailed out and never returned. Only the two sisters were left in the palace. In that moment, they became each other's only family, and yet the most distant from each other. Elsa grew more and more closed off. She barely left her room, even trying to make no sound when she walked. Anna grew up alone. She got used to eating by herself, walking through the long halls alone, talking to paintings. She still loved her sister. She just didn't know how to reach her. Years later, the palace gates finally opened again, because Elsa was to be crowned queen. That day, the kingdom came alive. People arrived from everywhere. The streets were filled with music, laughter, and long-lost warmth. For the first time, Anna stepped into a crowd. Her eyes were full of excitement and curiosity. She bumped into a young man. They fell, then laughed. His name was Hans. They talked, walked, and danced together. Everything felt just right. For the first time, Anna felt understood, seen. She quickly made a decision. She wanted to marry him. Excited, she went to Elsa to share the news. She expected a blessing, a hug, a simple, "That's wonderful." But she was refused. Elsa said she couldn't agree. Anna didn't understand. She grew upset, and all the loneliness she had felt over the years came pouring out. She accused Elsa of shutting her out, of never caring. Elsa tried to explain, but the more nervous she became, the harder it was to control her power. In front of everyone, her glove slipped off. Ice burst from her hands. The hall froze instantly. People stepped back in fear. In that moment, her worst fear came true. She became something dangerous in their eyes. She looked at Anna, full of panic and guilt, then turned and ran, out of the palace, toward the mountains. The wind grew stronger, the snow heavier. She ran until she was alone, then stopped, breathing hard. Tears mixed with snow as they fell. She took off her gloves. She stopped holding back. With both hands, she released all her power. An ice palace rose before her, beautiful, pure, and lonely. She told herself she would never have to hide again. But in that moment, she unknowingly cast the entire kingdom into an endless winter. And Anna did not blame her. She did just one thing. She went to find her. She changed her clothes, got on a horse, and rode out of the palace alone. She didn't know how far it was or what would happen. She only knew her sister was out there, and she had to go. On the way, she met a man who harvested ice, named Kristoff, along with his reindeer. She also met a talking snowman, Olaf, the snowman she and Elsa had built as children. Together, they made their way toward the ice palace. When Anna finally found Elsa, she was smiling. She said everything would be okay, that they could go home and start again. But Elsa's first reaction was fear. She said she couldn't. She said she would only hurt people. Anna didn't believe that. She stepped closer and tried to take her hand. In that moment, Elsa lost control again. Her magic struck Anna's heart. This time, it was far worse. Anna began to feel cold. The cold spread from her heart. Kristoff told her the only thing that could save her was an act of true love. Anna thought of Hans. She believed that was the answer. She was brought back to the palace and found him. Weak and fading, she told him she needed his kiss. But Hans didn't move. His expression changed. He said he had never loved her. This had all been his plan. The door closed. The fire went out. Anna was left alone in the cold room. Meanwhile, Elsa was seen as the source of the disaster and was captured. Her fear caused her power to spiral again, and a storm swallowed the city. In the chaos, Anna stepped out. She could barely stand. The snow was heavy, the wind biting. Her body was freezing. She saw Elsa, and she saw Hans raising his sword. She didn't hesitate. She ran forward. At the moment the sword came down, she stepped in front of Elsa. Her body froze into solid ice. Elsa stood there, stunned. She held Anna, tears falling again and again onto the cold surface. She kept saying she was sorry. She thought it was over. But then, Anna began to thaw, because she had made an act of true love. She chose love. In that moment, Elsa finally understood. She had always believed love would make her lose control, that it would hurt others, so she chose to hide and run. But the truth was the opposite. Love would not make her dangerous. It would teach her to control. When she raised her hand again, the snow no longer raged. It fell gently. The winter slowly faded, and sunlight returned to the kingdom. The gates opened again. People were no longer afraid of her, and she finally embraced Anna. On the surface, this story is about magic and adventure, but at its heart, it's about two people who love each other, slowly drifting apart out of fear of causing harm. One chose to hide, the other chose to keep reaching out. Until, in the end, they understood what caused everything to fall apart was never power, but fear. And what changed everything was not a miracle, but a choice. Anna chose, in the final moment, to protect her sister. That was not impulse. It was the purest form of love. Elsa finally understood that love would not make her dangerous. Instead, it would help her face herself and take control. So what this story leaves us is not just an ending, but a quiet answer. Sometimes getting close to someone isn't because you're not afraid, but because you choose to love.